It is Sunday, January 28th, 2018, and welcome to Flicker Effect. This is episode 239. I'm David Lott. Joining me this week is Bobby Jackson.
Hello, hello.
Yasha Wilson.
Hey, everyone.
And Michelle Hillard.
Hello, everybody.
This week we have plenty to talk about. It's been a while since we've done a regular episode that wasn't a special Let's Talk About Star Wars for 3 hours episode or a Top 10 Films of the Year episode. So
I feel like it was like in November or something. I know it wasn't
seems
that
like
long
it,
ago,
right?
but it
Such
feels
a
like
long
it was
time
a long time ago.
yeah, it's been a while. So we are going to do as we always do and start off by looking at the box office. And we'll do the top 10 of the box office this weekend and run it down. Starting at number 10, a film from India, Padmavat, I believe is how you pronounce it. Hopefully I'm not getting that incorrect. I'm going to guess none of us have seen this.
I have not. Although, I bet you there's a theater in our town that shows it.
There is. Actually, I think it's playing at Universal.
It's
when I just checked.
Oh, that's not the theater I was going to say.
And I actually wanted to talk about it a little bit because it was interesting. I heard an NPR story about this movie this week. And I guess there's a lot of violence in India taking place over this movie.
About the film?
About the film.
Huh.
The film tells the story of a 14th century Hindu queen who belongs to the Rajput caste. And I guess apparently at some point somebody said, I don't know who, but that there's apparently a love scene between these two in the film, which I guess Hindu groups is just basically a very sacrilegious thing to do and to depict that. Okay. And so, yeah, there's been like violence in the streets, I think, over this film. And this is apparently something that the producers of the film have been completely denying. Like, no, we didn't do this. So everyone seems very upset about it, even though apparently the film doesn't actually include the scene. Apparently, I haven't seen it. I don't know. It's been kind of interesting over there about this. And then, yeah, I see that it's in the top 10 films here in the U.S. domestically. I'm like, oh, okay. Not often I am reading off an Indian film in the top 10, even though I know it's January. It's slow, but...
Right?
So, yeah. Weird. Padmavat, if I'm saying that correctly, is at number 10 this week. At number 9 is Paddington 2.
Paddington!
In its third week in release, pulling in about $5.5 million. And Bobby, I believe you've seen this one.
I have. I saw the first one, and I caught on to the first one really late in the game. I don't think I even saw it in the theater.
That's right. I was the only loser that went to see it in the theater. And I was excited, and I liked it.
Yeah, and I think... just from hearing the buzz of other people talking about it and you talking about it, Michelle, I ended up watching it, and you just can't help but to just really fall for that bear because he's just charming and cute, and obviously the special effects on it are tremendously good. I mean, just you really feel like this is a life-like character and that it's not just this CG creation. It's the way he interacts with his environment and the people within the movie. It's just all very natural, and it's just a nice, fun tale. I mean, I'm sure if anyone was a kid, maybe at least knew of Paddington Bear, even if they didn't necessarily read the books. But it's just about this bear that finds himself kind of getting into these predicaments, and between him and his family coming together to help solve these different things that he kind of finds himself falling into. And in this one, there's this thing that he wants to get for his aunt who's never been to America, or to London, sorry. And so he's trying to find this present for her. And there's a bad guy played by Hugh Grant who is wanting the same thing that Paddington wants. And so it becomes this whole fiasco, and within the mix of something you even see in the trailer, Paddington ends up going to jail. And there's this segment of the part in the movie where he's in jail, which is very charming and sweet, and it just fits in well with the movie. And it was really weird seeing Sally Hawkins in this movie because I remember her for the first one, and I really think maybe the first one is when I really first seen her, because I don't recall her from anything else before I saw her in Paddington. And then I saw Shape of Water, So going from seeing her in Shape of Water to seeing her in Paddington 2, I was like, oh, wow. It was just so
There's
different.
not a stark difference there.
It's so different. So, but she's obviously, the matriarch in this movie, and she doesn't have as much to do. And it really is mostly about Paddington, and you get plenty of the bear in this movie. And it's just a feel-good time at the theater. I think anyone who either has kids or likes or has an interest in this should go see it, because it's really, really one of the sweetest and cutest kind of movies that's out there without it being too, I don't know, overly sweet and just kind of talking down. It really is kind of just heartwarming.
So do you think the second one lives up to the first one, is better?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, for
Cool.
sure. I don't know if I would say better. It's at least as good.
That's
and
good.
So, yeah, I definitely thought so.
That's good. That's good to hear. I mean, I enjoyed the first one. I went and saw it in the theater because I grew up. I read Paddington Bear books. Like, I love Paddington, and so I was. It was one of those weird things. Like, what was it? 2 years ago, I was excited to go see this film in theater, and I was like, yeah. And it was done well, and I had a good time. It was fun. It was cute, and I'll say though, like with the second one, I was kind of like, I don't know if I want to see it. I don't know. I've been kind of back and forth, but if I don't know if you're down with it, I guess I would check it out.
Definitely.
Yeah, it had does it still have a 100% on Rotten Tomatoes?
It had
that's a good question.
Insanely good reviews on Rotten Tomatoes.
I'll have to quickly look, but yeah, it was doing incredibly well on there, and yeah, it has 100% as of right now.
Wow.
I saw the first one too. I haven't seen the second one. I have a special place in my heart for Paddington as well. Like, my first gift that I remember getting from my grandmother was a Paddington the Bear. And so it's like, I've always, kind of have an affinity for that. So I watched the first movie, out of nostalgia, and I thought it was cute. It was really sweet. Really good movie.
All right, moving to number 8 on the box office list. Speaking of Sally Hawkins, it's The Shape of Water in its 9th week in release, pulling in 5.7 million. I would say if you're interested in some of our thoughts on Shape of Water, check out our top 10 episode, 238, and you can hear our thoughts on that one there. And obviously, by saying that, I'm saying I think we all thought it was pretty damn good. So. The Shape of Water is at number 8 this week. At number 7 is Den of Thieves in its 2nd week of release, pulling in 8.4 million. And Yasha and Bobby, you've both seen this. Yasha, if you want to take a shot at it first, what do you think of Den of Thieves?
Watching the movie, it was reminiscent to like very much the 90s action genre type of feel. It definitely had this whole heist feel to it. Al Pacino, Robert De Niro kind of cat and mouse is what I felt when I was watching this movie. And I thought, first and foremost, I was like, wow, this seems like a little bit past its time of when it should have been released. Like, if it was released in the 90s, I think it would have crushed it. So I was kind of, for the most part, a little disappointed, kind of like, where are we going with this? It's kind of slow. I was like, what's the end game here? But that being said, when we got towards the middle to the end, I really started to enjoy it and kind of started to second guess what my initial perceptions or ideas of the film was. And I really enjoyed it because I thought the ending kind of wrapped everything up really well, and it made it that much more fun. Even though you kind of figure it out a little bit towards the end, you still really, really enjoy the movie and watching the outcome. So I definitely enjoyed it.
Nice.
The acting in the movie too was just really it's pretty good. I can't remember his name right now. What is it? Pablo Schreiber, I think, the guy that played Caputo on Orange is the New Black. He was really good. He was really good in the movie. So, and Gerard Butler was Gerard Butler. 50 Cent was fair. O'Shea Jackson was actually really, really good. So, that's it.
Bobby, your thoughts?
I thought it was pretty good. I liked it a lot. It reminded me a bit of Heat because it has this slow burn to it, and it takes its time telling its story. I think it was a little bit long. Like, I think it's 2 hours and 20 minutes or something like that. And if it was like an hour and 45, I think it would have probably been a little bit better. There were some things they could have shaved off of it. But ultimately, I really enjoyed the aspect of them really giving you this movie was from the perspective of the thieves, of the bad guys, quote unquote bad guys, because even though Gerard Butler is probably the headliner, himself being a cop, he's got all kinds of crazy messed up life, and he is just not really a good guy. He might be a good cop, but he's not a good person really per se. And he is showing those shades of gray. And meanwhile, they kind of do that with the other characters as well. They're the bad guys. They're showing that they're not completely bad themselves. They do things and they have their own code of ethics, but they also have families and they're doing things that they shouldn't be, but yet they're within their families. They're these people that, are really caring and even within themselves, they have their own sort of brotherly bond, especially between Pablo and 50 Cent's character. So they show you all sides of these characters. Meanwhile, there's this heist thing that's also taking place that I thought they really did a good job of building it up and then paying it off at the end. And I'll agree, I really enjoyed Pablo's performance in this, as well as, I would say, O'Shea Jackson Jr. This is the third movie I've seen him in. Obviously, the first was Straight Outta Compton. The second one was Ingrid Goes West. And now this is the third. And he just continues to be able to get different types of roles. And even though I still see Q when I kind of see O'Shea Jackson Jr., he still is his own person and knows what he's doing as an actor. And I'm looking forward to seeing what he does next.
He was totally solid in that movie. Like, I would definitely enjoyed watching him, and especially towards the middle to the end, he was, kind of fantastic.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what I was trying to allude to, Bobby, with the whole Al Pacino movie was like Heat. That's the movie I was trying to think of. But thank you. But that's kind of the feel that I got from the movie as well. So it was definitely fun, and I definitely enjoyed it as well, especially the ending.
Yeah, that was, yeah. Well, it's a heist film, so you know how those go. That's most a lot of the fun of a heist movie is seeing how things play out. Like when you watch an Ocean's 11 or whatever, they don't show you everything, so you're kind of like trying to figure it out. And as you go along, you're kind of like maybe picking up on certain things, but once you sort of see it all laid out for you, you're like, oh, okay. So yeah, I really enjoyed that element of it as well.
Agreed.
Nice. So yeah, Den of Thieves is one of those like action movies. I think the first time I saw a trailer for it, I was kind of, it looks like the kind of action movie. It's not really my thing. But then I don't know. I think I saw the trailer like 2 or 3 more times when I was seeing a lot of movies in theaters before the Top 10 show. And like the more I saw the trailer, the more I was like, you know what? This looks like it'd actually be pretty good. I would watch this. Like it's definitely now, after hearing the recommendations from you guys, like once this hits Netflix or something, I'll check it out.
Yeah,
Probably
I would
make it to
strongly
the theater
recommend
right
it.
now, but yeah. So that's Den of Thieves at number 7. Number 6 in the box office this weekend, 12 Strong, in its second week in release with about 7 million. And at number 5, The Post with 8.8 million.
Ooh, The Post.
Still singing the praises for The Post?
I am.
Hey,
I'm loving it.
I liked it.
I'm very happy with that film. Very happy with that film.
So yeah, The Post at number 5.
Check out the top 10 list. I'll tell you all about why.
In its 6th week in release. At number 4 this week was The Greatest Showman. In its 6th week in release, pulling in 9.5 million here domestically. And Michelle, you saw The Greatest Showman back when it first came out, so it's been a little while now.
I saw that was before Christmas.
Oh yeah, because it was around the time of the Star Wars.
It was. So I saw it. Yeah, I saw it before Christmas. So it's been a few weeks. The Greatest Showman. It's definitely not the. It's not going to be the epitome of the new modern day musical. That's going to be like, I don't think it's going to be beholden in anybody's hearts. Like as far as the mass goes, I will say though, it's good. I feel like it's done really well, and the music in it is new and different, and refreshing. I don't think, because a lot of the music is brought to you by the same people that did the music for La La Land. I don't think it's on the same level as La La Land's music is, but it's still enjoyable. And it's actually, it won a Golden Globe for the best song. So it says something. I guess you just got to take it at face value. Like, it was an entertaining film. It was enjoyable for what it was. Is it a little bit corny sometimes? Yeah, but I didn't think it was overly cheesy. And I've got to say, like, the studio was really, really smart. It was a fantastic film for Christmas weekend, like, for families to go see. Like, I will say, like, at Christmas time, there was something about, like, there's nothing to do with Christmas in that film, but it's just, I don't know, it was a nice feeling. Like, it was uplifting at the end of the film, and you're like, yeah, life is pretty awesome. You can do anything you put your mind to if you try hard enough. And I don't know, it had a couple different messages in that film, and they all spoke really well and clear, and they were simple, but at the same time, I think it was a really good family film to see. And yeah, I enjoyed it. I definitely had a skip in my step after seeing that film, but I don't know. I mean, it's definitely not going to be like, it's not going to go down in history as one of the best modern day musicals, but it was an enjoyable film, and it was an enjoyable musical. And again, I have to say, like, I say the word musical, and I kind of have to use it loosely, a smidgen, because I don't know, it's different. But I would recommend it to some people, yeah, for sure.
All right, The Greatest Showman at number 4 this week. Number 3 was Hostels, in its 6th weekend release, adding a bunch of theaters, basically getting a wide release this week, so jumping up to number 3. I'll be honest, I haven't even heard much about this film.
The Hostels?
I believe Christian Bale's in it, right?
Yeah, he is.
Like, I'm just being honest, I haven't heard much about it.
Really? Some people, they're praising it as one of the best modern day westerns since Unforgiven. Praise.
Really?
Praise for Hostels. That's word on the street.
I've definitely heard good things about Christian Bale's acting in it.
Yeah.
Yeah, no. I mean, it's not like I haven't heard of it at all. I don't know. I just, like, now seeing it on the list, I'm like, oh yeah, did that come out? Like, I just haven't heard much about it.
I will say, like, I feel like the only time I really saw trailers for it was when I was in theaters. I haven't seen trailers on TV. Yeah, it's only been when I've gone to theaters when I've seen trailers for it.
According to Rotten Tomatoes, Hostels benefits from stunning visuals and a solid performance from Christian Bale, both of which help elevate its uneven story.
Ooh, uneven.
Rosamund Pike is in the film as well.
She is. I like her a lot. I think she's great. I think she's nifty.
So yeah, that's at number 3 this week. Number 2 in the box office, holding strong, Jumanji, Welcome to the Jungle. In its 6th week in release. You haven't even seen the movie, Michelle. Come
I know.
on.
I was like, is Michelle sighing over there? Like, what's that about?
You just won't even give it a chance.
Did they even have to do this film? Is it really necessary?
Michelle.
So you didn't go see the movie, Michelle?
No, I didn't go see this movie. I'm gonna spend money on this one.
All right.
I've been hearing good things about it. But you say, oh my God, like, if people are enjoying it, right? Like,
whatever.
Wow.
I'm not going to lie, Michelle, you sound a little like me when I talk about Emily Blunt right now. It's really, really bad. You're just not even willing to give it a shot. But I've at least given Emily Blunt a chance here and there. Like, I want to see that one that she's coming out with Krasinski, the one where she's doing the silence movie or whatever. What is it?
A Quiet Place.
The Quiet Place. Like, yeah, I'm really interested in seeing how that one plays out.
Yeah, you're just hoping she gets murdered in it.
Well, yeah, duh. But I mean, that's without saying. No, I don't hope that she gets murdered in it. I'm actually interested because I think that there's going to be at least a solid, like, maybe 15, maybe 20 minutes of this movie where they absolutely say nothing.
I knew you were going to say that. That's messed up. So you don't want to hear Emily Blunt talking?
Wow.
Is that what makes it bearable for you to watch?
You don't want to hear her voice.
Well, here's my thing.
It's not even that, guys. Like, I'm genuinely interested in seeing the movie. Like, I really do.
Sure you are. Sure. No, when it comes to Jumanji, here's my thing. Like, I grew up reading that story for a very long time, even before the film with Robin Williams and Kirsten Dunst came out. Like, I used to love that book. There was something about it in my childhood that I cherished, and then the film came out in the 90s, and I'll be honest, like, I really didn't even care for that film very much. I think Robin Williams did a spectacular role for the role that was written for him for that piece, but I'm not even like beholden to that original film. But I see this, and then they remake it into a video game, and it just hurts for me. It hurts.
But you don't think you could try to go into it and like not associate it at all with the Jumanji, even though it has the title, and just be like, you know what, this is its own thing. I'm just gonna.
I almost can't, just because of that book, because that book just means so much to me.
Okay.
As weird as that is, I can't. It hurts me. I'm like, oh, really? I mean, like, you've dumbed it down to a video game. Like, oh, it's so much better than that, though.
Well, Bobby, you've seen Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle.
Yep.
So, how was it?
It was fun. It was a lot of fun. You can't help but to get into the movie because of the characters that they're all playing. You first see how this thing becomes a video game, and then you're just kind of off to the races. Where, if anyone's seen the trailer, they kind of know the setup where The Rock, Kevin Hart, and Karen Gillan and Jack Black, they're all avatars of people in the real world that are different kids from different backgrounds, and the stereotypical type of jock and the girl who only cares about herself, the introverted girl, and the nerdy guy. And so when you kind of take these characters and put them in the bodies of these other people, there's a lot of comedy that they mine from that. And then they also play into video game tropes that are classic in terms of every character has 3 lives, and then there's power-ups and stuff like that. And it's just a lot of fun. The comedy is on point, and the situations they put the characters in is funny. It's just, I don't know. I just think that it was one of those movies that when it came out, and it came out, did it come out before Force Awakens or after? I think it was after.
I think it was after.
Yeah. So it just kind of hit at the right time. Maybe people who were not feeling Star Wars Last Jedi as much as they wanted to went and saw this movie as maybe a palate cleanser or whatever. But for whatever the reason, people gravitated towards it and really had a lot of fun with it. And it's still making money, obviously. You can see the top 10 this week, and you see that it's still high in the list. So, yeah, it's just a lot of fun.
No, I mean, especially just kind of based on the kind of buzz around it and how much everyone seems to be enjoying it. I've been wanting to see it. I haven't seen it yet, but I'd like to. And but yeah, you haven't seen it, right, Yasha? I'll take that as a no.
He was so excited by my review, he just stopped the podcast and went out and decided to go check it out for himself right now. So apparently,
he's out watching right now. All right. So that was Jumanji: Welcome to the Jungle at number 2 for this week, and at number 1 was Maze Runner: The Death Cure, a new film for the weekend. In its first week, pulling in $23.5 million. I have not seen any of the Maze Runner films. You've seen some of them, Michelle, haven't you?
I've seen the first 2, yeah.
Are they worth it?
I will say I did enjoy the first film when I saw it. I don't know, it's extremely Lord of the Flies, but kind of on an even upper scale. Like it turns up a few more notches in a way and makes it kind of intense. But the second one was a little, I don't know. The second film was that it was not as good as the first film. I think the story itself was actually much weaker, but I will say at the same time, the second one, the way it ends, they're all kind of in the situation where we're like, oh wow, they're all screwed right now, aren't they? Wow, they're super screwed. They are in a tight spot. So in a way, I'm kind of curious because I didn't read the books. I have no idea how this is going to play out. So part of me is curious to see this other film because I'm like, I have no idea how they're going to solve where they got hosed at in that second film.
I think the first one was really just kind of a really good rental as probably the second one, but I don't know if I'd run out and see it in the theater.
Yeah, like I'm not going to see this one in the theater. Like I'll eventually wait till it shows up, in HBO Go, HBO Now, or Netflix or Hulu or whatever it shows up in, Amazon Prime. I'll watch it that way. But I'm definitely not going to go to the theater to see this one. I didn't see the first two in the theater, so yeah. But I mean, the first one I enjoyed, and the second one was all right. But honestly, my interest is just to see where it picks up from that second film.
Basically, what it sounds like is like we're all just kind of killing time until Black Panther. Is that right? That's kind of what it sounds like.
That's really what January is all about. Yeah, you watch a few award shows, you hang out until February. It's just kind of where we're at.
All right, so that's our the top 10 for the box office this weekend, ending with Maze Runner at number 1. There's some other stuff we've all seen that I'm sure we'd like to chat about. We've got some time. Because I don't know about you guys, I definitely did my fair share of watching some stuff to play catch up before we did our top 10 show.
Dude, we crushed a ton of films in like a week.
Yeah, and a few of those ended up on the list, so I've already talked about them.
Oh my god!
But
so many films in like a week. Oh my god!
There's a few others that didn't make the list. There's one film I never got a chance to see before we did our top 10, and I'm curious about. I was hoping to see it this weekend, but I couldn't pull it off. But Bobby, you have seen Phantom Thread. And I'm curious to know what you thought of it.
Oh, boy. Okay, so Phantom Thread is a movie by Paul Thomas Anderson, and it's Daniel Day-Lewis and Vicky Krieps and Leslie Manville. And so the gist of it is that it takes place in 1950s London, and Daniel Day-Lewis plays this very renowned dressmaker, and he's just been into a bit of a routine rut in his life in terms of he seems to run through women pretty quickly. He gets bored of them and then he replaces them with someone else. And in this particular setting, he meets this woman who was this waitress, and it's their story of this relationship. And it's a pretty dysfunctional relationship. And it goes into a lot of different directions. But ultimately, this movie, I find it to be about, it seems the theme is finding someone to love you unconditionally, even with any problems and quirks and oddities that you may have, and being able to appreciate that person that can put up with your crap, really. That's kind of what
Isn't that everybody's goal?
Yeah, and that's kind of where the heart of the movie is. I mean, it tells it in its own unique way. And honestly, it's one of those movies where if someone told me they didn't like it, I would be like, yeah, I could see why. Because going into it, and I saw the trailer, it didn't inspire me to want to go see it at all. And even up until the time when I was sitting down in the theater, I really didn't want to see the movie. I was just kind of seeing it just because I felt like it was going to be nominated, and I needed to get that under my belt to be able to talk about it if need be. And I did enjoy it for what it was. I wouldn't go out singing the praises of it and saying, oh, it was Daniel Day-Lewis's best performance ever, or his Paul Thomas Anderson's best movie ever. Nothing like that. I mean, I was satisfied with the film overall, but it's done in such a way that I thought, like, coming away from it, it's this thing where you can make up your mind to a certain degree after seeing it. And then maybe it sort of kind of it digests in a different way, because I found myself anytime it was brought up and me thinking about it, thinking about different themes and ideas that were kind of layered in there, and subtle ideas that were presented, that were played upon. And there are some strong performances in this, like Leslie Manville, who is up for Best Supporting Actress. She is really good in this as Daniel Day-Lewis's sister in the movie, and she's really, really good. And the movie is, oddly enough, it has this sort of dry comedy to it it's funny, but it's more situational funny rather than like tell a joke funny. And I found that to be also kind of a nice bit of this, which was sort of a surprise because I wasn't expecting that from the movie. And as I find myself thinking back on it more and more, it feels like I like it a little bit more and more as I think about it. But overall, to me, it was just a decent movie, and I wouldn't fault anybody for saying, oh, they came out and said, oh, it was crap, or I hated it. I could see where they would say that, but I think I came out of it thinking it was at least decent.
Okay, Bobby, I think you know my taste. Should I go see Phantom Thread?
Oh boy. See, I don't know, because it's weird, because like I said, it's one of those movies I think where you might come out of it feeling one way, and then after kind of giving it some time to settle, you might think of it in a different way. I think I don't think, I'll put it this way, I don't know that you need to go rush out and see this. I could see you seeing it once it's out on demand and checking it out and being able to appreciate it in that setting rather than to go out and rush out and see it. I don't feel like it's one of those type of movies. But ultimately, do I think you would like it? I think you would appreciate it. I think you'd probably come out of it feeling the same way as me. Right. I don't think you'd be singing its praises to any high degree, but I think you would at least enjoy it for what it was presenting.
I will say my Paul Thomas Anderson background is pretty lacking. I never saw, I don't know, looking at his IMDb right now, I never saw Punch Drunk Love. I saw Boogie Nights and I thought it was okay. I saw Magnolia, and Magnolia is a film I feel like I need to see again. It's been so long. I feel like when I saw it, I was kind of like, that was interesting. But I don't know, that feels like it's been forever since I've seen that. And There Will Be Blood is a film that I've only seen once, and if I remember correctly, when I saw it, I think I finally saw it after hearing a lot of praise for it. I think I watched it at home on video and was underwhelmed by it. So I don't know. I'm with you when it comes to Phantom Thread. Like, just watching the trailer, if I didn't hear like any praise for it or think it was going to be nominated for this and that, I'd be like, yeah, I'm good. I don't need to see that movie.
Yeah.
Me going to see it.
I really liked There Will Be Blood.
Did you?
I thought a lot of people do. Good movie.
I mean, yeah.
It wasn't great. It wasn't one of my favorites, but it was definitely one of my. I definitely enjoyed it. I thought Daniel Day-Lewis was pretty awesome in that movie, but I like watching. Just left his name. The young kid, the preacher from the movie.
Paul Dano.
Paul Dano is one of my favorites to watch.
Paul Dano is amazing.
Yeah, he just convinces me in everything that he does. Like, that guy is just so awesome. And if anything, I think he kind of stole the movie a little bit, because I thought he was just a lot of fun to watch. So I genuinely enjoyed the movie because he was so awesome in it.
I mean, yeah, you're definitely not the first person I hear rave about There Will Be Blood. There's friends of mine whose opinions I highly respect, who I think, if I remember correctly, very much enjoyed that film. I don't know. I just remember being kind of like, it was all right.
Well, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Yeah. I need to see it again. Just like Magnolia, and I feel like I need to see that again. And then there's movies
I need to see that.
I need to watch Magnolia again. I've only seen it one time, and it was a long time ago. Yeah. I'd like to see it with a few more years on me.
I never saw The Master.
No, me either.
Inherent Vice. I haven't seen that. I'm like,
no.
Yeah. Sorry, Paul. I haven't seen a lot of your stuff. So yeah, that was Phantom Thread. I wanted to mention, and I think all of us at this point have seen this movie, a movie that I saw before we did our top 10 show, Ingrid Goes West.
Yes.
And I don't think any of us have had a chance, if I'm correct, to talk about this. Ingrid Goes West was a film that, I was hearing a lot of good stuff about before we did our top 10 show. And I thought I'd check it out. It stars Aubrey Plaza and Elizabeth Olsen. And I don't know about you guys, but I really enjoyed the film. It didn't make my top 10, so obviously I haven't talked about it yet.
It was in my honorable mentions. I think it was in yours too, though.
I don't know if did I mention it in my honorable mentions? I don't remember. But
I know I did.
I really liked it. And it was funny, too, because I had seen trailers for it. And maybe it had been a while since I'd watched a trailer. But then going into the movie, I guess I didn't really remember what exactly it was about. And then pretty quickly, I'm like, oh, this is going to be messed up. This is going to be kind of a dark comedy, just drama, looking at being, a social media like celebrity in this day and age. And what goes along with that, with Aubrey Plaza playing someone who is unhinged for sure, and she is an Instagram stalker basically. And
aren't we all though?
Are we?
Not at that level, but
definitely not at this level.
Not at that level, but.
But yeah, the movie has a lot to say about us, this day and age and what it's like to be so public on social media. And I really enjoyed it. I don't know about you guys. Michelle, what'd you think?
I liked it a lot. I mean, that's why it was in my honorable mentions. I liked kind of the two messages that were kind of happening there is, with being caught up in the social media aspect of today and how it really can be the focus of your life. And you can really alter even the way you live your life to make sure everything is picture perfect and to be on the edge of the cool hipster kind of things to make sure that you're always putting out that image. And then there's also just, with Aubrey Plaza's character, just the mental issues that she is now dealing with and becoming a stalker and becoming almost unhinged in a way at certain levels. And she's doing things that I feel that anybody who wasn't having a mental disorder at that point in time would never even contemplate doing. But she's so caught up into it, and she's so into this world and these people that she latches onto that, it's just, you could tell the breakdown of her mental capabilities as it goes through, and you're just like, wow, she just keeps going further and further into the rabbit hole. And a lot of it's because, and it stems from the social media aspect of it, going further and further and further down the rabbit hole. It just keeps feeding the two things. Like it's like two little monsters that just keep growing off of each other. But no, I enjoyed it. I will say, like, I thought it was going to be a little darker than it was. I thought it was going to have more kind of darker humor, I guess, or it was going to get darker at some point. Like, I thought it was going to maybe, I don't want to say get violent, but I just feel like maybe it was just going to, I thought it was just going to go to a place it would be like, whoa. But I still enjoyed it. Like, I think it was a good, solid story. And at the end, it leaves you going, wow, how the tables turn. And it's interesting. So I thoroughly liked it. And yeah, I think people should definitely watch it.
Yasha, you've also seen it. What did you think?
Not to echo what some of you guys have said, but Michelle, I'm with you. I thought that it was going to go down a really dark rabbit hole for a second there. I really did anticipate it. Actually, the movie in a whole was just awkwardly funny. Like, everything about it is just awkward. And what I loved most about it was like her own self-realization that she was doing wrong, but she didn't know how to stop. And it was just like, I get that this is wrong, or maybe it was just towards the end that she finally made that realization. Try not to give anything away, but it was dark, and it was kind of like a tortured soul type of thing, and kind of sad. But for the most part, I mean, it was it had its moments where it was really funny and it was really awkward, but I enjoyed it. And I've actually recommended it to a few friends, and I've just said, hey, you want to watch a really weird, fucked up movie? Watch this. Like, this will really get you going. And it's like fun to kind of like explore and talk about, especially with the social media aspect of what things are today.
Right.
And like I said, it's just like, going down the rabbit hole of just further and further and not really knowing how to stop or, finally wake up. And, that's kind of where Audrey's character was, Ingrid. And, I enjoyed the movie. I thought it was, solid. It was a good movie.
Bobby, you, I believe, have also seen it, right?
Yeah, I did see it. I just saw it maybe, I think the week before we did our top 10.
Yeah.
And, oh man, this movie, it was cringeworthy for me. I really had a hard time watching it. I almost stopped watching it because I was cringing so much. It's like watching a train wreck, and I couldn't take my eyes off of it because it was just so out there, and it made me feel weird because I was feeling for the other characters or her as well. And I mean, and I say this, but I also enjoyed watching the movie. I mean, I liked the movie, but it was hard to watch just because of this way in which Yasha said that there's this awkwardness to it. And it was just so weird seeing this character do the things that she was doing and go to the lengths in which she was willing to do the things that she did. And I'm trying to talk very vague for anyone who hasn't seen it, but it was rough. Like I think it was probably about maybe after 30 minutes or 40 minutes I was finally able to settle down, but it was hard watching it just because of the things she was doing. And once again, O'Shea Jackson Jr. was solid in this, and his love for Batman was just kind of funny as well. Awesome. Just seeing how he loved that character. But I did like the movie. It was just one of those really uncomfortable watches for me, which I don't really generally have when I watch a movie. But this one kind of did that to me.
I thought that was such a cool aspect of the film where they put O'Shea Jackson's character and his kind of like obsession with the Batman franchise and the storyline. I thought it was such a cool twist for the idea for the story in itself. Like it made it so much better. Like it was such a weird kind of obsession, but it was great.
Just more obsession upon obsession. Yeah. No, it was good.
All right, so that was Ingrid Goes West. What else did we see? I saw Mother, which I haven't had a chance to talk to. No, I'm not doing this funny thing anymore. I'm over yelling Mother. Now that I've seen the film, I'm just saying Mother.
Okay.
I can't wait to hear this.
Okay.
So Mother, from director Darren Aronofsky, whose films I've mostly been a fan of. I loved Pi. I like Black Swan.
Black Swans.
The Fountain. Yeah.
That was a pass.
But anyway, so Mother with Jennifer Lawrence. This is a film that it historically had a extremely terrible. What was that? A cinema score for audiences? Gave it like an F rating there for a while.
Yeah.
Which pretty rarely happens, I guess. And you've talked about this on the podcast before, Bobby, right? I think you already talked about this a while ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, this is a movie that I'll say I watched it. I kind of could see what he was going for, but not completely. After I watched it, I went out and kind of looked up what he is trying to say with this movie, since I had heard that he had basically already kind of done interviews and such saying like what he's trying to do with this movie. It's not like he made this film, put it out there, and wanted to just let everybody, I guess, kind of interpret it for themselves. And I've heard, I think, different opinions on that. I don't know if that's the studio that's pushed him to do that, or if he's just kind of done that on his own. And so I read what he was going for, and then I was like, oh, okay, I definitely hadn't gone that far in my mind. I'm obviously going to have to kind of bounce around this without talking spoilers, but then it was interesting to kind of think back about the movie and go, okay, so that's what you were doing, huh? And I get it, but I still am left going, but I don't care, or I don't see why. Like, I didn't walk away from it with a more profound feeling about that, I guess I'll say, story. I don't know. Because the movie's just weird. On the movie on its own, most people, and thus the F cinema score, most people are going to watch that and go, what is this mess? And even though there's certain themes that I was, understanding as I watched it, for the most part, I was like, yeah, this is kind of a mess, but I'm still kind of watching the mess take place, and I'm like, okay, maybe in the end there's going to be like, oh wow, okay, that was worth it, and no, not really for me. So that's my kind of basic trying to talk around the spoilers opinion on Mother. So that's what I got. Well, I mean, I can't remember exactly what you said about Mother, Bobby. I mean, like, did you like it? Laughing. I can't remember.
Yeah, that's the funny thing. I'm laughing because I don't remember what I said about it at the time, because it is such a strange movie, and yet I think if you ask me today what I feel about it, I can't remember specifically what I said at the time, but if you ask me today, it's a weird thing that I kind of appreciate it more if I didn't at that time than I, now looking back on it, having time to have sort of digested it once again in the same way that with Phantom Thread, it's, yeah, he's telling this very weird story and it's the allegory for something. And even if you understand there's other ways to read and interpret that as well. But I think what I appreciate about it, or dare say like about it, is the technical aspects first, because there's a lot of involved tracking shots and the way it's sort of filmed from Jennifer Lawrence's perspective. It's like you're seeing the movie through her eyes, or seeing things play out through her eyes in a lot of the ways that it's shot. And so there's this appreciation for the movie on this technical level. And then when things ramp up and get really crazy, I also appreciate it from that aspect too. And this is nothing in terms of how I think of the story and the way it was told and laid out. But I'm just sitting there thinking in terms of everything being a stand-in for something else, and how that's represented in the movie and what it really means. And it's kind of this interesting thing that he did, and I appreciate it for the art of it, in that it's so crazy and wild, like that someone would actually give him money to make this movie and see the final product and be like, yeah, we're still going to put this out.
This is happening.
Not just going to shelve it. So
we're already in it.
I kind of appreciate that the studio would release something so wild and crazy in a time where most studios just want to release the next big superhero movie or whatever. Not saying there's anything wrong with that, but it's kind of nice that some directors and artists can still take a chance and do something, even if it doesn't speak to everyone, but they're able to still kind of tell their own sort of personal stories and put it out to the world for them to enjoy, quote unquote. And I think I appreciate it from that aspect mostly. The story in and of itself, it's pretty out there, and it takes a lot of patience in terms of what he's doing. And ultimately, at the end of the day, like David said, for his experience, you just may not care, regardless of what this thing that he was trying to get across within the telling of this story. It just may not speak to you on any level, and you're just like, well, that was kind of a waste. But I think ultimately, my buy-in comes from the experience of it, I guess.
Well, yeah, that was my experience with Mother. So I definitely couldn't recommend it to, I think, most people.
No, I wouldn't either.
There's a handful or a couple friends that I'd be like, you know what, you might like this.
It's
like,
quirky.
But most people, no.
And it's hard to say even like, because
You might find it interesting.
Yeah.
Is a better way to put it. Anybody got anything else they've seen they really want to chat about before we move on? I don't really have anything else.
I do have one thing.
Yeah.
It's been very divisive, at least in terms of critics and people, in terms of the split. And that's the movie Bright on Netflix. I got a chance to watch it. I don't think I talked about it on the podcast.
No, I don't think so.
Okay, so the critics really hate this movie.
Yeah.
And if anyone has a chance to look it up on Rotten Tomatoes to see what the critics gave it, they blasted this movie to smithereens, and they just really did not like this movie. So I was like, okay, well, I mean, I was kind of looking forward to it. The previews really didn't do much for me, but I just like the idea of this being a Will Smith movie, and it was from David Ayers, and it was a pretty big budget and something that was a Netflix original movie. So there's that curiosity and really wanting to see what this was about. And the story is about these orcs that have, in this sort of setup universe world, these orcs have been around for at least thousands of years. It may have been longer than that. So they've been a part of the world history. They're not like they just arrived or anything. They've been here. And so it takes it from that perspective. And it's this one orc that is his first day on the job, and he's kind of like experiencing what a lot of minorities would experience in terms of the hate and being different. And the orc is played by Joel Edgerton. And so he does a really good job under all this makeup of playing this character who's kind of hated by his own kind of orcs and hated for being this different type of cop, because he's the first orc to ever come on the force. And I thought they did a really good job in terms of world building, and the scenes that were, I thought, action scenes were pretty well done, and it was well paced. I thought, I don't know, I didn't have a problem with the movie. I enjoyed it for what it was, and I know that they're greenlit a sequel to it, and I'd be interested in seeing more, because I thought they did such a good job with the world building. And I think a lot of critics complained because they said it was too on the nose in terms of this being an allegory for race and everything else. But I don't know, I didn't care about that. I just was looking for something that was entertaining, and did that for me. So I thought it was kind of getting a bad rap. But I just wanted to at least talk about it, just because I think maybe a lot of people out there have Netflix and maybe have at least seen that it's there, and has maybe, if they haven't watched it, to lean them towards at least giving it a try. Because I've heard other people talk about, well, I don't want to watch it and be a part of Netflix analytics to maybe algorithm. Say that it was good. And I'm thinking, well, you can still give it a thumbs down if you didn't like it
totally, yeah.
So I don't know why you wouldn't at least watch it to make up your own mind, as opposed to just saying, oh, well, other people are saying it's garbage, so I think it's not going to be worth watching.
All right. Well, that is what else we've seen, and we'll be finishing things up with the segment we haven't had a chance to do in quite a while, Michelle.
So long.
And that is
We've
I Challenge
all been
You.
busy. It's not like it was just me.
No, it's not. I didn't mean it like that.
But no, it's been, the holidays happened, and then we had the top 10 show, and then we had the Golden Globes, and like
So yeah, I challenge you. Each episode, one of us is challenged to watch something that we've never seen before for whatever reason, and then that person then gets the chance to challenge the next person, and so on and so on. And Michelle, you were last challenged to watch Dexter, which you've never seen before. And normally, if one of us challenges to watch a show, we just ask that, since it's a show, not a movie, obviously, you're going to watch at least a couple episodes, 2 or 3. And I believe you've seen 3 episodes now.
I have. I've seen the first 3 episodes of Dexter. And again, it's very similar to many of the things that we all have with these I Challenge Yous, is that it's a film or a TV show that we all, for the most part, have been like, oh, I was meaning to watch that, and I just never got the chance to, or the opportunity, or the time. Like, things just didn't work out. And it's the same with Dexter. I always had interest in Dexter. Dexter was on during a time when I had zero access to HBO. And even then, like, I think if I had access to HBO at that time,
or Showtime.
I'm sorry, Showtime. My bad. Sorry, Showtime. If I had access to Showtime, like, I don't know. Like, I just feel like a lot of times I feel like there's only so much I have time for. I will say, like, in watching the first 3 episodes, I like it. I'm intrigued to see where this goes for a little while. It's definitely got me captivated. It's... in a way, I don't want to be like, oh, it's so far-fetched, but I'm like, no, it's really not. Like, the stories seem very plausible thus far, and even the main character, Dexter's character, seems very plausible. Like, it's not something that I think is just totally, like, crazy. Any
advice, Michelle, and interject real quick, is I would definitely recommend watching at least until through season 4.
Yeah, I've heard that the last couple of seasons weren't as great, which tends to happen with many shows. But yeah, I think if I can kind of keep this one up, I don't know if I'll be able to keep it up like in a large scale, but every now and then if I'm like, oh, I'm just kind of hanging out, what can I watch? I will probably be turning it on. I'm really enjoying it. I see now what all the hubbub was about at the time, and it's not that I dismissed it. I just didn't get the opportunity to.
Right.
And so now I'm like, yeah, Dexter. Yeah. Okay. This is, I don't know. It sounds weird to be like, oh, this is fun.
No, I wouldn't say it's weird necessarily.
Weird? This is fun. Let's watch a bunch of serial murderers and then the dude that kills off all the other serial,
I mean, yeah, if you keep up with it, I will echo what Yasha just said. And, I remember enjoying the first season. If I remember correctly, season 2 is fine, but it wasn't as good as the first. But I'd still watch it. 3, I remember being better, and 4 was very good. And
yeah,
and
that's
then
what I'm saying. It's like if you can make it through season 4, I would just stay in there because John Lithgow is the point of interest on the season 4, and he is just a phenomenal actor.
Yeah, I mean, John Lithgow in almost anything.
Season 4 is definitely where the show peaked, and then it went, for me, very downhill right after that.
100%.
What is it with you? What is it with you in TV shows and after season 4? You're
I don't know.
I'm good. I brush my hands with that.
At least when I say that about West Wing, there's a particular reason. I wish that weren't the case here at Dexter, because I remember. I don't know. I love that show, and yeah, I'd say keep up with it. I will say too, with every season of that show has the same kind of idea, just a different focus, and usually the last couple episodes or so, last 3 episodes, things really start to ramp up, as with most shows.
Oh, I'm sure, yeah.
And it gets really, really interesting as each season really gets close to ending. So
right,
but yeah,
it's like Game of Thrones. You get those last 3 episodes of the season, you're like, oh my god,
right.
It's so good. So yeah. Okay, so I get to challenge somebody. I'm not gonna lie. There's a part of me this week that felt like pulling out the Bowl of Destiny and just taking my name out of it and being like, all right, who am I challenging? But just because I'm evil, I'm just gonna pick Yasha.
What?
Because why not? So then, I'm sad. I've been sitting here kind of going, okay, so Yasha, what can I challenge Yasha to see? And immediately, just because I know for me, I've seen so many old school movies and you guys not as many old school movies, that's usually my first go-to. But because the top 10 show has been really kind of fresh in my mind, I was like, oh, you know what? I feel like there were some films in my top 10 list and then Bobby and David's top 10 list that weren't in Yasha's top 10 list from last year. And I'm wondering if Yasha ever got around to seeing them eventually. So I think that's kind of what I'm going to do. So unfortunately, I got to field a little bit here to you, Yasha. But my first question is, did you ever get to see my number one pick from the top 10 show of last year, which was Arrival?
Yeah, we talked about that.
See, I don't remember that. Dang it. Okay, so then...
I remember talking about that because I wasn't a huge fan. I thought it was kind of corny.
That's right.
And you got really upset at me.
See, I've clearly blocked this out of my memory because I feel everybody should love this film, and I think if you don't, whatever, I just block it out.
That's why she doesn't remember.
Clearly the case, and that is clearly what happened in this. Like, you have blocked out a whole conversation.
I'm not gonna lie, I probably have. I clearly have because I'm like, oh, I don't remember that conversation at all. Yeah. Anyways, did you get the opportunity to watch Nocturnal Animals?
Nocturnal Animals. Give me 1 second. That sounds familiar.
It's actually another film with Miss Amy Adams.
Oh,
that's the theme of the day.
No, I don't think I did see this one with Jake Gyllenhaal.
Jake Gyllenhaal,
as well.
Yep. Well,
Michael Shannon. I do like Michael Shannon. So.
Yes, and I'm not gonna lie, Michael Shannon in the film is so good, which isn't shocking at all, obviously. But yeah. So I know for a fact it's on the HBO apps. I'm sure you could probably rent it off of Amazon. But yeah, I will challenge you then to Nocturnal Animals, my friend.
Nocturnal. All right. It's on HBO. It's on Hulu. I have HBO Hulu.
Oh, it's on Hulu. How about that? Look at that.
Consider it done.
Sweet. I mean, my thought was worst case scenario. I'm sure it's on Amazon for rent. So, yeah, Nocturnal Animals, my friend. I am curious to see what you think about that.
All right, Nocturnal Animals it is. I will definitely figure it out. Find time to watch it.
So, you were challenged to watch Nocturnal Animals, and...
Challenge accepted!
And with that, I think it's time to wrap things up. As always, we'd love to hear back from everyone listening. You can reach us by email at feedback@flickereffect.com with your questions or comments. You can also find us on Facebook, facebook.com/flickereffect, on Instagram at flickereffect, on Twitter at flicker_effect, and on YouTube at youtube.com/flickereffect. I'm David Lott.
I'm Bobby Jackson.
I'm Yasha Wilson.
And I'm Michelle Hillard.
Thanks for listening.